Hello? We pull it? What's up? I'm Jim Fro, and this is the Ready Check Pull Boss Guide to Vorasius on Normal and Heroic. Big shout out to Rested XP for not only sponsoring the video, but being the absolute best way to level in World of Warcraft. I'm using it right now to level in Midnight, and honestly, I'm cruising past the homies. Use our link in the description or pinned comment for 10% off all of their guides. Vorasius is the second boss of the Voidspire. It's mainly single target with a little funnel cleave throughout, and this is a bloodlust on pull fight. Before you pull, you're going to want to make sure that you have at least a few grips, knockbacks, or whatever you can to make sure the fixate ads die on top of the walls. The main idea of the fight is that Vorasius does a big slam soak on the tank. Two of those slams spawn walls, one on the boss's left arm and one on the boss's right arm. The boss will then spawn some fixate ads that need to be kited and killed on top of the walls to destroy the walls. The reason you do this is because the boss will do a giant beam that sweeps across the entire room, one-shotting anyone hit by it. The only way to avoid the beam is to run to the opposite side of the room after the wall is broken. Alright, so let's get into the fight. The boss doesn't move, so you'll just tank him right where he starts. The tank mechanic is basically the entire fight, so even if you're not a tank, you'll still need to know how it works. A few seconds in, you'll get the first tank slam. The boss puts a big circle on the ground, and the current tank needs to pop a defensive and stand inside the circle to soak the hit. The slam does a bunch of raid damage and puts a stacking debuff on the tank, increasing their physical damage taken by 150%. You'll be taunt swapping around 2 to 3 stacks or when the debuff falls off. Every slam sends out a staggered shockwave circle from the impact point. You wait for the first ring to go off, then move into that space to avoid the next ring. Melee can usually just stand in the center of the tank soak area right after it explodes to avoid all of the rings. And during testing, you could outrange the shockwaves entirely by staying at max range, but that might get fixed. The big thing to remember is that the first and second slams also spawns crystal walls on each side of the boss, and those walls need to be destroyed. The way you destroy the walls is by using the blister creep ads that fixate players. The fixated players need to kite their ad along the wall while everyone else focuses it down. The ad has to die directly on top of the wall because when it dies, it explodes, and that explosion is what destroys the wall. On Heroic, you'll need 2 ads per wall, so make sure to call out which wall you're going to and use displacement abilities like Typhoon, Ring of Peace, and Death Grip to make sure the ads are actually on the wall when they die. Once the wall is broken, look at the boss's hand to see which one is glowing. That's the direction the giant beam starts from. Everyone needs to quickly run to the far side of the room away from the beam and stay there until the cast fully finishes. Once it's clear, reset back to the middle. From there, you just rinse and repeat that cycle until the boss is dead. There's a few other abilities to watch out for, but most of them are pretty simple dodge your feet mechanics. However, the one thing healers need to really pay attention to is Primordial Roar. This hits the entire raid, knocks everyone back, and gives the boss a permanent stacking buff each time it's cast. The stacking buff becomes the soft enrage of the fight and ramps up pretty hard the longer the fight goes on. Healers will also see big damage spikes whenever the blister creep ad spawns, so make sure to have a healer cooldown ready for each ad wave. And lastly, if anyone is ever in the blister creep explosion, they'll get a magic debuff that makes them take increased damage. Healers need to dispel this as soon as possible if it happens. And that's pretty much it. Here's a quick recap for you to review or screenshot for later. And don't forget, you can find full walkthroughs of every boss on our Patreon. Links in the description. Thanks again to Rested XP for sponsoring this video. If you're playing Midnight, the Rested XP in-game add-on has step-by-step routes that tell you exactly where to go, what to pick up, and more importantly, what to skip. So you can basically just sit back and blast your way to 90. Use our link in the description or pinned comment for 10% off. Peace.